going to guess most listeners to this show watched the State of the Union last night. I will tell you, we did also at our home. We had a friend stop by who's in from out of town, and he said, I'm come by around 7. And I was thinking, even when he got there, don't think you're staying, into the State of the Union or understand we're going to turn the TV on, buddy. But anyway, we did watch the whole State of the Union. And I wanted to talk about, in the first 5 today, just a simple question. Why? What is it that causes people to choose a president of the United States? What is it you want the president to do? What does the presidency stand for America's voters? Because if you listen to State of the Union last night, you saw first of all, very enthusiastic response and support for the president from the Republican elected members of Congress. You saw the Democrats largely not standing, not clapping, not cheering, not joining in they certainly didn't join the 4 more years, but you saw stoic rejection of this president. And I just want to, my question for the first 5, I say for a president, I want a president who will keep America safe. Primary job, national security, which includes a strong military able to defend us, strong borders, so we have a country, so we know what our country is, that we enforce those borders. Because if we don't have any borders, if the whole earth just existed with oceans and land and people meandering everywhere with, no borders at all, which is what many leftists want, you wouldn't really have the idea of a country. But borders create countries. They create, the national, the borderline, the boundary line between one country and the next. But in the case of the United States of America, the president's job is not just to secure the border and not just to have a strong military to keep us safe. It is the job of the president to carry on in every generation the idea of America. By that I mean the idea of what the country America is, what the founding was based on. What did we create in our founding? If you have Muslim majority countries around the world committed in varying degrees to Sharia, Islamic law, and you understand whoever your leader is, you probably didn't get to vote for him, but whoever your leader is, their job is to push forward Sharia and Islamic law in Islamic majority countries that follow Sharia. In America, the president's job is to preserve the idea, the founding idea of America. The notion that each of us, as the Declaration tells us, each of us has rights from God. I always add, simply because we were born, we were created equal, we have rights to live in liberty, have life, liberty, and pursue our version of happiness. That's what the idea of America is. And the only economic system that can flow from that idea are free markets. The only concept of America that can flow from that must include the right of each individual to live in liberty. The concept spelled out again in the Declaration of Independence, later in the Constitution, this idea that because you live in this country, you aren't going to be forced by the mullahs to dress a certain way or live a certain way, because we don't follow Islamic law, we follow American law. The notion of each individual with a right to live with independence, each individual having that right, having the right and the responsibility to engage in personal responsibility to care for yourselves, care for your life. And you have the idea that within the Bill of Rights, these rights that were spelled out in the founding, that are the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, the idea that you have the right to freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, freedom of worship, these are fulfilling those, protecting those in every generation. That is the job of the President of the United States of America. That's the job. And so President Trump talked about last night, just overwhelmingly positive economic numbers. The idea that, and economic numbers aren't just about cold, hard, we're now energy self-sufficient because look at our energy production versus somebody else's. Or, unemployment numbers and job opportunities and a booming economy. These are not just economic factors. They relate back to this idea of the founding of America, the idea that we live in this country, a country rooted in liberty. And that because we have that right, each of us has the right and responsibility to care for ourselves, to be self-reliant. We should have a president who wants jobs to be created, who wants a middle class to be strong, who wants children to have access to quality education so they can move forward and join the American dream. Every one of the big picture items or ideas that created America were included in that State of the Union last night. Every one of them. The ideas of the individuals having the right and responsibility and freedom and opportunity to be self-reliant, to find a job that provides them with an income so they can care for their family, so they can put food on the table for their children. This is what the idea, the presidency of America, is supposed to be about. And this president, running through his accomplishments, and again, it's not personal to him. He is a magnificent force. President Trump is strong. He is determined. He's unrelenting. He keeps pushing. But what he's pushing, the policies, the ideas, he is pushing fundamentally the preservation of America, which leads me to how the left receives him. You saw last night, and we're going to get more to this in a moment, about how most of the Democrat women who are serving in either the U.S. House or the Senate came dressed in all white. And that, if you didn't know what it was, that all white clothing was supposed to represent the suffragettes, the women who fought, a century ago for the right of women to have the right to vote. And that was kind of their color. When they dressed up to go to a march or whatever they did, their rallies, they dressed all in white. And so these women, Democrats in Congress, were showing their solidarity, or they would claim they were showing their solidarity with the suffragettes. But I really want to pose this question, and I'll come back to it several times in this show. What about President Trump's agenda, accomplishments, what he reported last night about the State of the Union is inconsistent with what women want? What? I will concede the one issue where there's clear from the start policy differences between the Democrats and the Republicans, and that has to do with the issue of protecting unborn life. The Democrat Party is committed as a women's right for women to have the right to abortion, all the way up to, in fact, including past birth. The post-birth abortion, or, the real thing is having a baby born and then believing that a woman's right to choose includes her right to end her baby's life after it's born. And that is included in what many leftists claim is a woman's right to choose. So the right to choose, the left claims right to choose includes up till and past birth. Kill your baby if you want to. That's the left view. And the conservative view, the Republican view, the President Trump view is we try to protect unborn life. That is a clear, I will concede, a policy difference. And we fight it out on how we solve that issue. But really, in closing out the first five today, ask yourself, what is it that President Trump has done, including, which is this concept of a strong economy, jobs available, the lowest unemployment rates, with all the records he cited, lowest unemployment rates for blacks, for Asians, for Hispanics, for women, stellar numbers. And these numbers translate into real people's lives, real jobs, real ability to live out the American dream, to be a wage earner, to be able to earn income by your hard work and bring your income home and put food on the table. This is what President Trump was touting last night. And this is what the Democrats could not stand up and clap for virtually the entire evening. I really will close the first five now just to say it's a very important thing to recognize as we move forward in 2020 in this election cycle that, and we're going to talk about Nancy Pelosi's behavior, but just to think about what is it you want a president to do? What does he stand for? What does President Trump do? Has he, is he forwarding for the American people, all the American people, the promises he made? And ultimately forwarding the promises made by the founders to every generation that we have the right to live in freedom. Because how I see it is President Trump is forwarding exactly what he said he would do, and more importantly, exactly what the idea of America is all about. What the Democrats are telling you from last night is that they cannot be happy no matter how good things are for the American people. Every American, certainly people in Congress, should be celebrating the unemployment numbers, the bustling economy, the notion that more people are able to be wage earners and producers and take care of their families. These people, these leftists holding seats in Congress and the Senate and serving as part of the Democrat Party, are telling you this kind of fulfilling of the idea of America drives them nuts. They find it unacceptable. In fact, they simply hate it. It ought to make you wonder what they would do, what they would fight for. If they don't like the success we're receiving right now, what is it they would fight for if they had the majority? And that, my friends, is today's First Five.